Hey everybody, this is Sarah, and you're listening to the Medium Curious Podcast, the show that makes friends with the mystery, which is just a fancy way of saying I'm a little human in a little body who wants to know how it all works but doesn't get to, and that's okay. This is a Sunday solo, and today I want to throw this question out there. What if not having it all figured out is actually the point? What if staying in the mystery, sitting with the unanswered, the unexplained, and the not yet known is where the magic actually lives? The more I experience and the more I realize how much I don't understand, which is so much, I feel that's the point. And there's something that I keep noticing, which is really exciting to me. And I don't think it's just because I'm running in these mediumship circles, which I do love so much. And I do kind of want to resist using the word awakening because I feel like it's getting a little overused, but I keep meeting people who are discovering this part of themselves, people who are waking up to the fact that they are more than the physical and more than the material and more than they were taught to believe about themselves. And they're starting to make the connections, how everything is threaded together and how things can't be fully explained. And when someone discovers that they are spirit through a mediumship experience, there's nothing like it. It's just so exciting to me. And that brings me to the question of today. This little Sunday, I kind of think of these as like Sunday sermons. What if the mystery isn't out there somewhere? What if the mystery is us, is in us? What if we're the mystery? I'll just leave that for a second and I'll get back to that. Because let's just talk about mystery in general. So we in our human lives, in our human bodies, can't ever really fully get comfortable because life, or complacent, I would say, because life has a way of just stopping you in your tracks just when you think you've got it all figured out. So an example of this is these past 2 weeks, my husband lost two of his college, not his college friends, but friends in his college circle, I'd say. They're both completely unrelated losses, yet it took the air out of him. It was like a gut punch, you know? One was a dad who was in the prime of his life, the kind of guy everyone called a best friend. And he moved through life like every single day was the best day ever. And the other loss was a mom of two boys, sunshine in human form, and the type of person who lit up every room just by walking into it. And every conversation you had with her, you left feeling seen and heard and more alive. And now none of this makes sense. Loss never makes sense. And that's the part that just stops you cold. How can everything just shift in an instant and you can never be prepared for it? You just can't. You can't ever prepare for loss. And then in the midst of that, Jane and I have been, we prepared the Monarch episode. We got that together. And I swear that episode always arrives with a flurry of magic. There's always so many synchronicities surrounding this episode. Every time, this is the fourth one that we've put out, and it always just blows my mind. I'll give you an example of that. I reached out to a mom whose boy is on the other side, and I asked her, she gave us a story for the Monarch, and I asked her if she could send me a photo of herself and her boy. And she wrote back to say that at the exact moment my email landed in her inbox, she was writing her sister-in-law about a reading that I'd given her many weeks before that. And the timing of that is so perfect. It's just divine. I think when things like that happen, it's just pure magic. So here we are, living in this reality where the unmanageable loss, yet paired with genuine delight, exists in the same breath. Grief and loss sit at the same table with magic and joy. And somewhere in the middle of it is, I feel like, the mystery, where the mystery lives. That's where we live. I have been, and I always think about consciousness, but I've been thinking a lot about consciousness lately and all the things that we can't explain. So I do try to figure it out. I do. That's just part of being a human, I think. What if this physical dimension, this material world, is the mystery baked right in? Like, what if being in these bodies with this built-in amnesia is how we get to play the world's greatest game of Clue or mystery, or whatever board game you want to call it? We come in to this game with imaginary limits that we have to live within, or we can stretch beyond them or break free of them completely. And what if we reframe the mystery away from uncertainty, but look at it more as spaciousness? And what if reality is far more layered than what we can perceive? And instead of being terrifying, what if it's actually full of potential and possibility? What got me here was a book that I recently read. Thanks, Lori, for the recommendation. Okay, I didn't actually read it. I actually listened to it. I don't know, or any of you else out there, listeners of books, because it's hard for me to read a book these days, to sit down and read one, because I've got so much laundry and dishes and cleaning up and 3 kids and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, this book was Dan Brown's The Secret of Secrets. He also wrote, if you can remember, The Da Vinci Code. And here's the thing, consciousness isn't just a theme in this book. It's kind of a character, which is so cool, which is why Lori recommended it to me, I'm sure. The story is about a noetic scientist named Catherine Solomon, and she is on the verge of publishing a book full of her research that is so explosive it threatens centuries of established belief. So noetic science, what is that? It is the study of the deeper nature of our inner worlds and our shared reality and the interconnection between all things. It comes from the Greek word meaning inner wisdom and direct knowing. Intuition. Hi. It's all about that inner knowing. And what I love about this book is that all the experiments and studies referenced in the novel are real. Dan Brown spent 8 years researching this book, and he went in as a skeptic, and he came out the other side with his mind completely changed, convinced that consciousness survives beyond the physical death. And it's based entirely on the research, near-death experiences, and conversations with specialists that he researched. So Catherine's central breakthrough is the idea that the human brain is not the source of consciousness. It's the receiver. And that our consciousness actually circulates outside our bodies, which means what we think of as us, our awareness, our knowing, our soul, is not contained in these bodies at all. We've just been told that it is. And that just gets me so excited because the book asks whether the material world tells the whole story. And the answer that it keeps arriving at is, it doesn't. Not even close. We come here, we arrive in these bodies with a huge filter that screens out most of what's actually present. And the people who learn to work around the filter through meditation, through intuition, through mediumship, aren't doing something weird and woo-woo. They've just learned how to receive more of what is actually already here. And this rings so true for me because this is what I catch glimpses of in meditation, in mediumship, and in the time that I spend in the Akashic Records. And I know so many of you realize this too. You feel this too. And so this led me to another book, and the way it came to me is its own little synchronicity too. At the celebration of life for my husband's friend, the one who moved through every day like it was the best day ever, it was mentioned that his favorite book was An Immense World by Ed Yong. So, of course, I had to read it. I had to look at it. And I think I was kind of guided to it. And it's all about how different species each perceive their own version of reality. So some animals sense magnetic fields, and some animals detect electrical signals, and some hear or see things entirely outside of the human range. And every creature is moving through its own sensory window into this vast, layered world. So Yang asks us to imagine a completely dark room, and to people, to humans, it's just dark. But a bird in the same room would sense the Earth's magnetic field and know which direction to fly. And a dog would be picking up scents, smells that we as humans can't detect. And a rattlesnake would be sensing the heat signatures of human bodies through infrared radiation. So it's one room, the same room, yet every being in that room is having a radically different experience, different realities. And I think that's so cool. It's so comforting because it means that our human experience, as vivid and real as it feels to us, is definitely not the entire story. We're perceiving something true. It's just not everything true. And this has always been the case. So when I hold those two ideas together, that consciousness involves some kind of filtering, and that every being, every species is already living inside a different version of reality, that just blows my mind. I don't feel scared. I feel more relaxed and more expansive. Like, oh, of course I'm not seeing all of it. Of course I'm not meant to have the whole map. Of course I'm not supposed to know the ending. And maybe being human is not about mastering the mystery. Maybe it's about learning how to live the best way we possibly can inside of it. And this is also something that the spirit world has really been teaching me. I'm reminded of it every single time I sit down to give a reading. I am never given the entire picture by Spirit. Spirit shows me what it wants me to see and what it wants me to give in a reading, and honestly, just what Spirit can get through to me. And Spirit is always the number one factor that dictates the reading. Every person who comes through as Spirit has their own personality, has their own agenda, has their own way of connecting, just like they did when they're here embodied. So for all of you developing mediums out there listening, I want you to hear this. Sometimes you just can't make a connection, and it's not a failure. I'll share with you that, and I think it's important to know that it doesn't always work. The connection isn't always there. I have given readings where, as a people pleaser, I really want to please the sitter. And I'm a recovering people pleaser, and I do mean recovering. And I want so badly to bring through exactly who the sitter wants to hear from, and exactly the way that the sitter wants to hear from them. But the spirit world has other ideas, and honestly probably knows better than the sitter, and definitely me. And that's why, I always refund somebody if I can't make a connection. It's happened twice, like in the past 6 months. And it always leaves me feeling like, oh no, it's so disappointing for them. It's so disappointing for me. But I don't know the full picture. I don't know why. It's just something that I have to surrender to. And speaking of surrender, the best connections come when I surrender, when I stop trying to control the outcome and just allow spirit to lead. And you can't do that when you're attached to results. And you can't do that if you're worried about pleasing the sitter. And it requires something that is harder, yet simple, than all the techniques that we learn in all of our mediumship classes. It requires curiosity, and it requires being willing to sit inside the mystery without demanding from it. And that's hard to do, especially when you want to make someone happy. So I'll just say it happens. I don't know any mediums that hasn't happened to. It's just part of not knowing how it all works, exactly how it all works, and leaving it to the unknown, which is spirit. I keep thinking about the episode that we did with Scott Darlington, this absolute star of a human. If you remember, he lost the love of his life, David, his husband, and he was blown wide open through that loss. We talked about not needing to understand how it works in order to receive the signs and the readings and the experiences of being spirit. And Scott is such a gorgeous example of living with grief and magic at the same time. He has walked straight into the mystery with curiosity and openness, and it has brought him the most stunning connections. I was joking with him, and I genuinely believe this, that when we get to the other side, when we get across the veil, we're all going to be laughing about how many times we have been together in multiple lifetimes, how many times all of these friends that we've made have gone through this, and all of these different lifetime experiences, lifetime after lifetime, and every single time it feels brand new. It makes me giggle thinking about it. And maybe that's the thread of this whole little Sarah sermon. The mystery isn't a problem to solve. It's not a hole. It's not a gap where knowledge should be. It is the thing itself. It is the texture of being alive, of being spirit in a body, of perceiving just enough to keep moving forward, and not so much that the game is given away, that the ending is given away. I gave a channeled meditation back in February, and there was a phrase that moved through me, and it was divine guidance. And what I remember saying was, dear beloveds, all of creation experiences itself through you. All of creation experiences itself through you. And that just means that we are not separate from the mystery. We are it. We've always been it. We don't have to solve the cosmos to belong to it. We don't have to understand the divine to have a divine experience. We are the divine. We are the mystery. We are experiencing it through these bodies, through this amnesia, and through this beautiful yet disorienting, grief-filled, magic-soaked life. And I think that's what I'm going to leave you with this week. So thank you so much, dear listeners, for hanging out in the mystery with me. I so appreciate you. And if you could share our little podcast with your friends and download your episodes and give us a rating and a comment, that would mean so much. It helps bump us up on the ratings and get us out there a little bit more. So until next time, love you. Have a great couple weeks. Bye. Very Soul is our sponsor for Medium Curious. Jane and I are both Very Soul mediums.
Oh, yes, we are. Verysoul.com, y'all. Inspired by spirit, guided by love, and brought to life by mediums.